My name is Stan Partlow. I'm a coach with the Greater You, and I'd like to take a few minutes of your time to introduce myself to you. I'm a lifelong learner. I truly believe that an effective coach will help you learn more about yourself, more about the things that you may want to do in your life that will make you the best version of yourself that you can possibly be. Your coach should challenge you. Your coach should encourage you to read. Your coach should encourage you to go to courses and understand about the world around you, as well as about the way you're feeling about things. If you're thinking about a career change, your coach should really help you learn more about the career that you're thinking about going into so that you can develop a solid plan to get there. I've worked for over 40 years. 25 years of that was spent in the law enforcement area. I spent 21 years with the city of Columbus and retired as a commander, and I spent 4 years with the Federal Bureau of Investigation where I served as a special agent. I retired from my law enforcement career in 2005 and went into the private sector for the next 15 years and ultimately became the chief security officer for a very large electric utility company. So I've got a few years worth of experience as a worker, as a team member, and as a leader. 27 of those 40 years I spent formally responsible for other human beings, both at the first line supervision level, the mid-level management level, and the executive level. So I feel like I've got some insight on how you might be successful in your work career as well. I'm a big believer in the idea of creating a why for yourself. If you've ever read any of Simon Sinek's work, you'll understand this immediately. If you haven't heard of Simon Sinek, take a few minutes and look on YouTube and find one of the videos that he does on this idea of why. And if you want to really explore it, he's got a book out there called Begin with Why. And Simon talks about this concept of recognizing that most of us know how we do things and what we do, but very few of us really know why we do them. And I would argue that if you're going to be successful in your life, both on a personal and a professional basis, you should figure out what makes you get out of bed every morning. Where does your passion lie? What are the things that fuel you? That's your why. And once you discover your why, it's pretty interesting because then you can determine where to spend your ultimate currency, and that's time. And time followed by energy. Where you spend your time should be really aligned with your why. But if you've never really thought about your why, it's kind of hard to do that. And you find yourself wasting time and still feeling unfulfilled. How many times have you yourself, or maybe you've talked to a friend who said, man, I'm working so hard, but I don't feel like I'm accomplishing anything. Most of the time, because there's no real alignment with your why. I really believe that meaningful change at the personal or organizational level requires something I call relentless effort. And relentless effort really is a concept of moving forward continually, recognizing that you're going to fail, recognizing that things won't always turn out the way you want them to, but you have to continue to move forward. I have a friend who is a vice president in a big company, and he has an executive coach. And his executive coach taught him an interesting concept that I want to share with you real quickly. And that was, if you have a complex message you're trying to communicate with someone, try to break it down into 3 words and use those 3 words as the framework to build your message around. So I thought a lot about this concept of relentless effort. And I thought, how would I break that down or reduce that down into 3 words? And the 3 words that I came up with for you are SMART, action, and grace. Now, you'll notice that every letter in SMART is capitalized, so that signals that it's an acronym. It stands for SMART goals, and SMART goals have been around a very long time, and they're really an interesting way for you to actually create a roadmap for you to achieve the goals that you've set for yourself. So the first part of the SMART goal process is really understanding where you are and where you want to go, and then developing this plan around this concept of SMART goals that will help you get there. So SMART stands for specific, measurable, achievable or attainable. I've seen people use both words, realistic, and time-bound. This gives you an idea of how to create that roadmap for yourself to actually achieve the goal. Think about a scenario where you might have said, I want to lose weight. Okay, you want to lose weight. Well, what does that really mean? How much weight do you want to lose? What's the time frame that you want to lose it in? How are you going to lose it? Are you going to lose it through diet, through exercise, through a combination of both? Are you really equipped and do you have the right resources to allow yourself to do it? So the SMART goal takes that really big, broad goal, I want to lose weight, and breaks it down to something very specific. I want to lose 10 pounds in the next 90 days. And I'm going to join Weight Watchers in order to do that. So you set yourself up. Now you've got a specific goal. It's measurable. It's actually achievable because you're going to use a process to help you get there. It's realistic. They say you should probably try to lose 1.5 to 2 pounds a week. So setting yourself up to say you want to lose 10 pounds in 3 months is more than achievable, more than realistic. So you've got yourself now a goal. Now you might have to adjust that goal along the way, but at least you've got to start. One of the other challenges that a lot of people face is when they think about making changes in their personal or professional lives, they make these huge, broad goals. I want to get a new job. Okay, what does that look like? You probably have to really assess what that means and break it down into a series of SMART goals. This is where a coach can be invaluable to you, because the first thing a good coach is going to do is really sit down with you and try to understand whether you understand your own why. Because getting a new job that doesn't really align with your why doesn't help you any more than staying in the job that you're currently in. So a good coach is going to walk you through that exercise, help you create the SMART goals, and then be your accountability partner to make sure that you're actually achieving what you set out to achieve. The second word is action. Now that probably sounds pretty obvious, but I'll tell you, in my own personal life and in the lives of many that I've mentored and helped along the way, action is a really hard thing to do. We sit around in our world and we talk about a lot of things and we ruminate on that. And we think, I need to change. I need to do this. I wish I could do that. And we wring our hands about it, but we never do anything about it. Action means actually getting in there and doing something. And you've got to do that. You also have to recognize that third word, and that's grace. Because anytime that you put a plan together and you put action with it, you're going to fail. You're going to fall short. That's the human condition. We don't get it right every time, and that's okay. So give yourself some grace. Allow yourself to recognize the way you feel about not achieving that goal. And then go back to your SMART goal and ask yourself, is this the right goal? Maybe you said, I want to lose 10 pounds in a week, and now you have failed to do that. Well, that's probably wasn't a very realistic goal to begin with. So maybe you need to adjust that. And this, again, is a very, very, very dynamic process, not a static one. But always be sure to give yourself some grace. It's amazing to me that when people don't give themselves grace, they oftentimes quit altogether. I have a friend who just recently got a new job, and he's working really hard. And he was really one of the guys that I could rely on to help me with my workouts. And I'd see him in the gym and we'd work out together. And all of a sudden, he quits coming. And I see him every now and then. And I say, hey, what's going on? And he goes, well, I got this new job. And, I've normally been in the gym 3 days a week. And all of a sudden, I just don't have time to do it. So I think I'm going to quit coming altogether. I said, hang on a second. Let's think that through. So you were coming to the gym religiously 3 days a week. How'd it make you feel? Oh, I loved it. Really made me feel good. I had a lot of energy. I know I was building my strength. Felt like I was, really taking care of my body. I said, okay, great. So you've been doing that for a while. Now you got this new job. You're working a lot more hours. You're working some different days than you worked before. You've got some family commitments that have popped up because of the new job that you're taking now that you didn't before. So all of a sudden you can't do it 3 days a week, right? Yep. I said, well, how many days a week do you think you could do it? He said, well, 1 for sure, and maybe 2, but never 3. I said, okay, let's do the math on that. Is 1 more than 0? And he goes, yeah, right. Yeah, 1's more than 0. And I said, is 2 better than 1? He goes, okay, yeah, sure. 2 is better than 1. And I said, so don't you see that you'd be better off, even if you could only get in the gym 1 time a week, than 0? And he kind of sat there and he looked at me and he goes, I didn't really think about it that way because I always thought I had to do or I had to reach my goal every week. And if I didn't reach my goal, I was a failure and I wouldn't do it at all. And I said, well, my hope is that you're going to reach your goal at some point down the road. And you're going to get back to the place where you can manage this new job and move things around enough where you can get in here 3 days a week. But in the meantime, at least get in here 1 day a week and try to get in there the second day a week. So that's allowing yourself some grace, recognizing that you're going to fall short, but you don't want to actually give up and quit. I've been very blessed in my life, and I've gotten to do a lot of really neat things. And one of the things that I did, actually taking action and putting the SMART goal together to write a book. And I've been thinking about leadership for a very long time, talking about it, studying it. And with the encouragement of my late wife and many others, I decided I was going to write a book. So here it is. It's called Leading Relentlessly, and it's out there on Amazon if you'd like to if you'd like to learn more about this. Part of the book talks about this idea of living relentlessly. And then I take it into a conversation about leadership because, again, as I shared with you earlier, I spent about 27 years of my 40-year work career formally responsible for other human beings, and certainly had leadership roles in many other facets of my life. If I had to take leading relentlessly and break it down into 3 words, I would choose these 3 words. The first is self, the second one is others, and the third is arena. So let's think about self. I don't believe you can be a great leader unless you can manage yourself. So the first part of the book really talks about that. And it introduces this concept of living relentlessly so that you can think about how you need to best manage yourself in order to become the best leader that you can be. The second piece is others. Your job as a leader is to serve the people that you're responsible for. Servant leadership, Robert Greenleaf, I'm a big fan of his. This idea of we will serve, and then we will create the relationships with our teams to then be able to move the team to another level. But service and taking care of those others is really critical in this whole concept of leadership. And then third is the arena. And the arena is a lot like action, but I use a specific analogy of a speech called the arena. So you'll have to read the book to really figure that one out. But recognize this, that no one can be a leader unless they're willing to actually do the work. Well, I hope you'll join us at the Greater You and reach out to either Gina or Quentin at thegreateryou.com or at the phone number I provided for you, 435-215-6474, and set up an appointment. They'll talk to you about what you want to achieve through the coaching process, and then they'll match you up with one of our coaches. I really hope that I get a chance to work with you, and I wish you Godspeed on your journey. Be safe.